This lesson covers opening and using checking accounts. While fewer checks are being written each year, a checking account is usually the foundation for using a debit card and for your online banking activities that we have covered so far in the previous chapter. Checks provide convenience, ease, and safety for making payments. They're also proof of payment, and they keep a record of your spending. Requirements for opening a checking account. The first thing you must be is at least 18 years old to open up your own account. You need to provide a sample signature. You need to show some type of identification and make an additional deposit. If you are not 18 years old, you must have a parent or guardian along with you to open an account. Opening a checking account starts at providing personal data and a sample of your signature. In the past, you used to sign a signature card. This document usually required your legal name, your address, your phone, your social security number, driver's license number, and email address. Today's signature card might not be actual cards. Most financial institutions enter your personal data online and use an electronic capture device to obtain your signature sample. The electronic image of your signature can then be available to tellers at branch banks. These methods are used to verify your signature. The bank compares the signature on your checks to the ones on record when the account was opened. Signatures will likely be verified when you are cashing a large check at your bank or when the bank suspects that a forged check is being presented for payment. Sometimes two or more people have an account together called a joint account. Each person who will write checks on the account must provide a sample signature. Any signer for a joint account can write checks on the account as if it was his or her own account. When you deposit money in a checking account, you fill out the deposit slip. This form lists all the items you are depositing. You write the date, you write the check identification number, the amount of the check you are depositing, how many items you are depositing. In this case, we are depositing one item, one check, the subtotal. If you are receiving cash, you will put an X in the little box and how much cash you wish to receive. You must also sign your name. If you are receiving cash, you will sign your name as proof that you received the cash. And then you will total up the total amount that you are going to deposit. Before depositing a check, it must be endorsed. This involves writing your name on the back of the check. An endorsement is written evidence that you received payment or that you transferred your right of receiving payment to someone else. When you endorse a check, your responsibilities are as great as if you had written the check yourself. When you endorse it, you promise, if this check is not paid by the bank, I will pay it. Your endorsement must be made in the 1.5-inch space on the left side of the check. If you write outside this limit, the bank may return the check to you. Next, we're going to take a look at the types of endorsements. There are basically 3 different types of endorsements. A blank endorsement is made by signing your name on the back of the check. To endorse a check, you sign your name exactly as it's written on the front of the check. If the name on the check is different from your official signature, you will need to endorse a check twice. First, use the name as given on the check, then write your name as it appears on the check. A blank endorsement makes a check payable to anyone who has the check. While you can use this endorsement to transfer any check, sometimes another type of endorsement is better. So for example, if you use a blank endorsement and you lose the check, anybody that finds a check can cash it. A special endorsement is the second one. It is also called a full endorsement. You use a full endorsement or a special endorsement to transfer a check to another person. You write the words "pay to the order of," followed by the name of the person or business which the check is being transferred. This is followed by your signature. This phrasing results in only the specified person being able to cash or sign the check on to somebody else. So for example, Sue Anderson transferred this check to John Doe. John Doe is the only person that can cash this check. A full or special endorsement is different from a blank endorsement in that the check can only be cashed or deposited by the person you're assigning the check to. The third type of endorsement is a restrictive endorsement. A restrictive endorsement limits the use of the check to the purpose given to the endorsement. For example, you may have several checks that you want to mail to the bank. You could write "for deposit only" above your signature, followed by the account number. This endorsement restricts use of the check so that it can only be deposited into your account. Often, organizations that receive many checks use a rubber stamp with the words "for deposit only," followed by the company name and its account number. Checking accounts are an easy way to access funds. Still, to use a checking account correctly, you must understand certain information and follow some simple procedures. Some checks are light blue or green in color. Others have a picture of a forest, a sports team logo, an inspirational quote. No matter what they look like, all checks contain essentially the same information. 3 parties are shown on each check. The drawer is the owner of the checking account. It's the person who signs the check. The payee is the person to whom the check is written. And the drawee is the bank or the other financial institution that pays the check. So in this example, who is the drawer? Correct. It is you, the person that owns the account, who signs the check. Who is the payee? Correct. Joe Sportswear. The payee is the person to whom the check is written. Who is the drawee? Correct. The drawee is the bank or the other financial institution that pays the check. Your checkbook will provide one of 3 formats for recording account activities. Anytime you pay or you deposit money, you should be recording it one of 3 ways. The first way is the check stub. The check stub is a form attached by a check or perforated line. It can be found at the top of the check, or it can be found at the side of the check. What you do is you tear it at the perforated line, you use the check, you keep the stub for your records. The second one, and probably the most common, is the check register. The check register is a separate book that allows you to maintain a record of your checks written. The check register is used for a record of the checks that are written, debit card payments, and cash withdrawals. A duplicate check is the third way to record, and this is a copy of your check. As you fill out your check, a carbon copy of it is attached to the original check. After you fill out the entire check, you rip off the check and you keep the duplicate copy for your records. Always fill out the stub or register first. If you write a check first, you may forget to record the information before you transfer the check. Your check register should also be used for maintaining a record of debit card payments and cash withdrawals. Next, we're going to go on to writing the actual check. You should fill out the check completely and carefully using the 7 steps. Write the checks in order so that you know which checks have been paid. They are all pre-numbered up in the upper right-hand corner. Write the date in the proper space. Write the payee's name on the line following the pay to order. Most people will put a wavy line after this to avoid any additions to your check. Write the amount of the check in figures after the printed $sign. Write the amount close to the $sign to prevent someone else from altering your check. Write the cents figures close to the dollar figures so that additional numbers cannot be inserted. Write the dollar amount in words on the line below the payee's name. Write the cents and figures as a fraction of the dollar. Begin writing at the far left end of the line. Draw a line from the fraction to the printed word dollars to fill any unused space. Write the purpose of the payment on the line at the bottom of the check. This will help you in your record keeping. Sign checks with the same signature you wrote on your signature card. Poor check writing can cause problems and financial difficulties. Follow these tips to avoid trouble. Write checks only on the forms provided by your bank. Checks can be written on just about anything, but sorting and processing can be delayed when you do not use the proper forms. Write checks in ink. This prevents someone from altering the amount. Only write checks if money is available. Writing a check for more than your account can result in an overdrawn account. The bank may not pay the check, and you'll most likely be charged a fee. Use the current date. A post-dated check is one that is dated later than the date on which it is written. This business practice is unwise and can result in additional service charges. Use the current date. A post-dated check is one that is dated later than the date on which it is written. This business practice is unwise and can result in additional service charges. Avoid making checks payable to cash. Such a check can be cashed by anyone. Instead, make a check out to yourself or to the bank as the payee. Always fill in the amount. If you leave it blank, you may be held responsible for amounts filled in by others. Void checks on which you make errors. Do not try to erase or retrace your writing. Write void across the check. Make note of the voided check in the check register. Record every payment from your checking account, whether it's a payment by check, debit card, or automatic payment. Some people carry few blank checks. When one is used, make note of it and record it in the register. Also promptly record all transactions made at an ATM. In certain situations, you may not want your bank to pay a check that you have written. To do so, you will have to fill out a stop payment order. It is a written notice that tells the bank not to pay a certain check. Because banks charge a high fee for stopping payments on a check, use this process only for a good reason. You may learn, for example, that a check you have written to pay a bill was lost in the mail. A check you have written may have been stolen. Before you write another check, you should stop payment on the one that was lost or stolen. Let's review the types of endorsements. These are found on your sheet. A blank endorsement is made by signing your name on the back of your check. So here's the back of your check. Remember, you have to write above this line, and a blank endorsement is just your name, so you can sign your name on that example. The second one is a full or special endorsements, when you want to give your check to another person. So here is your check. You would put paid to the order of whoever you're giving the check to. In this case, I'm giving it to John Doe. After you're designating the check to a new owner, you will sign your name underneath that. Third one is a restrictive endorsement, and again, it limits the use of a check to a purpose given on the endorsement. Here is your check, the back of your check. You're going to write for deposit only, and you usually write the account that it's going into, whatever the account number is, and then you will sign your name. So again, there's 3 basic types of endorsements. Next, we're going to identify the parts of the check. Okay, we're going to start with this part right up here. This one is the drawer. That's the person that owns the check, John Doe. This line here, the sandwich shop, is the payee, who you are writing the check out to. This line right here is the date. This line here would be the check number. This number here is called the ABA, American Bank Association number, and this is how your check gets from one person to the next, is a routing number. These identify banks. Then you will have the amount in numbers. You will have here the amount in words. Down here, you have the drawer's signature. Right down here, this is used for electronic sorting. These are electronic magnetic characters of your account number. And you can see the account, the bank number, and then the 790, that's the same as your check over here. This next line is the purpose of your check. And again, you can cash a check without that, but that helps you when you reference it later on. This right down here again is your bank's identification code. And again, it's for your electronic sorting. And then this line here that goes to your bank is the drawee, where the check is coming from, where your money is located at.